Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon to all of you. Welcome to the MSME DigiTalks, accelerating MSME competitiveness through digital transformation. Please allow me to introduce myself. I am Lovely Chan, Trade and Industry Development Specialist from the Bureau of SME Development. Thank you for joining us here in our second episode of the MSME DigiTalks via Zoom. We hope that everyone is ready and excited for the topics that we prepared today, as they are equally exciting, just like our pilot episode last week. For those who have just tuned in, the MSME DigiTalks aims to push forward the digitalization agenda of the DTI to improve the business operations, competitiveness, and resilience of MSMEs through information sessions on topics most needed by MSMEs to thrive in the digital world. In cooperation with various partner enablers enrolled in the Tech Tools microsite, such as IT service providers, e-commerce platforms, and fintech, among others, the MSME Digitox will introduce the different technology tools and platforms available to support the operations of MSMEs. Last week, we focused on productivity tools and have invited a speaker from the public sector, the Department of Information and Communications Technology, or DICT, who discussed their various activities and projects in supporting MSME digital developments, such as empowering digital workers of the gig industry ecosystem in the Philippines, or EDGE-PH, digital startup development and acceleration program, scale or startup community and local enhancement.
To continue, the skill or startup community and local enhancement, raising awareness and inspiring the startup ecosystem, and many more. We have also invited speakers from Peddler Philippines and Ziles, who discussed on the importance of digitalization, further discussed on their services offered for MSMEs. Peddler discussed the need for MSMEs to digitalize various business processes such as the digital sales, digital marketing, and digital finance using available technological tools. Lastly, the Zales presented the 7 practical steps for SMEs toward digital transformation. For today's episode, we are focusing on digital payment tools. These are knowing and understanding what digital payment facilities you can use to implement cashless transactions, receive and send payments. Before we proceed, let's hear from our division chief under the Monitoring and Evaluation Division of the Bureau of SME Development to present to you briefly overview of the Philippine MSMEs.
Thank you, Carissa. Thank you, Lovely, although nawala ka sa linya. Anyway, good afternoon to everyone. And nakikita ko ang dami nating participants from Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao. And we're happy. Siguro sila yung mga participants din natin last. Totoong SMEs yung nakikita ko kasi I saw sa chat, may mga messages na coming from Mindanao, from Luzon, Visayas. Marami pong salamat for joining us today. Parang ano lang po, just a brief background po. Allow me to present po yung right now po ang SMEs po natin is defined po. Yung mga micro is less than 3 million ang asset size, ang small is 3 million to 15 million, ang medium is 15 to 100 million ang asset size. Pero the data po shown on screen, ito po yung ating establishments po in the Philippines as gathered by the Philippine Statistics Authority. So according to the PSA, ang ating pong establishment is more than 1 million po. Ito siguro yung mga ano lang po ito, registered companies. Pero yung mga nating mga ambulant vendors, yung mga maliliit na negosyo, hindi po yan nakasama dito. They are not part of the survey. Kasi mga less than 10 in employment side, very ano po yan, hindi yan visible sa PSA. So ang micro, by the way, ang naka-flash on screen po is by it's not by asset size po, no, yung pag-gather ng data nito, but by employment size. As you know, mahirap po mag-gather ng data on asset size. So majority disclose lang yung kanilang employment size. So for micro, ito yung mga less than 10 employees. Ang micro natin is almost 1 million, then 90.54% na po yan ng all establishments in the Philippines. So ganun po siya karami. Ang ating small po ay napakaliit lang as against the total establishment. Nasa 8% lang po siya ng total establishment, almost 9%. And then ang medium natin is 0.41%. So together with the large enterprises, no, ganun din sila kalami. Na nasa around 4,000 lang, no, 4,000 ang ating large and ang medium enterprises. So napakaliit po talaga nung yung talagang tinasawag natin, sila yung sanang mag-aangat sa ating micro and small eh. Ito yung ini-aim ng ating micro small na maging later on, maging medium and large sila, maging the next Jollibee corporation sila, no. So hoping through digitalization, we hope that our micro will be able to level up, no, to small, and our small to become medium, and then our medium to become large as well. So next slide please. So this is really the very reason po dito sa composition pa rin lang po ng ating establishment in the Philippines. Dito na tinitignan namin no, kung paano lalaki yung aming small and medium enterprises talaga, no? Kasi yung micro is really dominant in the number of establishments. So hoping na pag nagkaroon tayo ng mas malalaking establishment, ng malalaking negosyo, mas makakapag-provide tayo ng employment, makakapag-provide tayo ng value added sa economy natin. So next slide please. Okay. So one of the DTI priorities po in the new administration po, we have, hold on lang po I think mali yung naka-spotlight, no? Si Macrima Maumbas yata yung naka-spotlight dun sa presentation. Anyway, sa ating DTI priorities, we have 10, no? We have 10 priorities in the new administration, and number 1 po dyan, yung to upgrade, upskill, and upsize micro, small, and medium enterprises. And the way we will do is this really to promote digitalization among MSMEs and to promote science, technology, and innovation in collaboration with our partners, so primarily with UST and NEDA. So iyan po talaga, for digitalization, we're pushing for e-commerce, to digitalize the systems ng ating SMEs to improve their business operation. Next please. Okay, so in the year 2020, no, although pandemic pa rin siya, but we did not stop, no, kasi during the pandemic nakita namin na talagang it is really important for our SMEs to really onboard dun sa digitalization, kasi ito yung naging ano din ng mga SMEs natin parang saving grace nila during the pandemic, no, that those who were able to adopt digitalization, they were able to continue on with their businesses. So we took the DTI, no, through the DTI e-commerce office, took the initiative to come up with a baseline survey on digitalization of SMEs, because all of the ASEAN are already doing it. And they initially conducted a survey of 400 respondents, no, coming from NCR, from Region 3, and 100 from Region 4A. So the results of the survey say that there are at least 23% who are still in the level 0, no, based on the ASEAN categorization. Level 0 meaning no digital tools, no, they are not using any digital tools. And about half, no, more than half of the respondents have business email and email, no, a business email, at least may business email po sila, 50% of the respondents. And then at level 2, they have a business email, and apart from the business email, they have their website. So nandun po yun, nasa 21% lang, no, a fifth of the respondents. And then sa level 3 is very glaring po, 6% lang po yung nasa medyo pa-advance na po, no? Business email, they have their business email, they have their website, and are using advanced digital tools po. So we wanted to validate this, no? In the early part, no, before we took this initiative to conduct this DigiTalks, we also had a small survey among our among our regional operations group. And in that survey, in that initial gathering of information, we validated that indeed we are still at a very low level of digitalization. So that's why we are conducting this DigiTalks. So right now, we are also conducting, before we proceed with the digitalization ng SMEs natin, kasi this is really a part of our initiative to ensure that they will level up, no, from level 0 na maging at least level 1 sila. So we prepared a survey for our DigiTalks. Please, next slide, please. So in the last episode po of the DigiTalks, we conducted a survey on the SME, on their digitalization, and these are the results po, no? Yung respondents natin, although I think almost naman to 1/4 ng ating participants took the survey, no? Kasi some are new entrepreneur, are not yet registered. So nasa 1/4 yung took ng survey. And of the 47 respondents, 86 are yung nasa single proprietorship, no? Kasi yun naman ang composition ng ating mga establishment. Yung iba nasa partnership and corporation. So we also have those respondents in the survey, and 38% are in the manufacturing sector, no? Surprisingly, considering yung kanilang use of mobile device, 100% ng ating respondents are with internet connection. So at least, no, kahit yung may mobile device sila, either they have the mobile device, they have interconnection, or they have a facility, no, connected to a shared facility, maybe a hub, no, within their community. 8% non are provided dun sa kanilang shared facility naman. So this is really good enough, no, as na meron na talagang connection ang ating SMEs. 100%, no, as against dun sa kanina na may 23%, 100% are already using ICT tools. So they have cell phone, they have laptop, printer, scanner, laptops, or even using software programs. So at least nandun na tayo sa ganong category. So umangat na, no, from 2020 to 2022. Hopefully, no, when we are finished with this survey, na maging ganito talaga yung trend. So for those who are using advanced digital technologies, kanina nakalagay doon sa level 3, nasa 6% lang. Dito sa ating survey, o the very pa lang to, no, premature to assess na ito na yung result, na meron namang konti, no, that are using the digital advanced digital technology, especially with our Fab Labs, no. If you are familiar with our Fab Labs po, sino po nakagamit dito ng Fab Labs? Paki-type po ang 1. Kasi yan po yung ating meron tayo dyang sa Fab Labs, meron tayong mga laser cutters, 3D printers, I think marami pang ibang mga technologies na meron tayo dyan sa Fab Labs na pwedeng gamitin ng SMEs natin. Teka, parang walang nagtatype ng 1, so wala pang nakakita ng Fab Lab dito, even with our BizMed okay, thank you, Princess. So merong gumamit ng Fab Lab. Okay, so blockchain, meron naman, surprisingly, merong 1 na nakagamit na ng blockchain. And unfortunately, wala pa sa ating mga respondents ang nakagamit ng artificial intelligence. So in the future po, we will tackle po that topic. No? Hopefully, we will be able to invite someone from our CIG group to discuss yung AI. And then, okay, that's number 4. Social media accounts. Marami po ang merong social media accounts sa atin. Particularly yung ating Facebook. Yung Facebook nasa 91% na, no? Paki-type nga po ang number 2 kung sino may Facebook sa inyo. So sa Facebook, maraming gumagamit ng Facebook, 91% na. Ang Messenger, 34%. Ang email, merong 42%. No? Parang titignan mo, ano ang mas magandang address mo? Yung Facebook mo ba o yung email? No? It seems na yung Facebook is already an address. No? So 91% yan. No? So kaya lang yung email is used for business communication. So hopefully, magpantay yan. No? Yung the need to have an email. No? Of course, when you go to a Facebook, I think kailangan mo naman lagi yung email. Kaya lang karamihan nakakalimutan na yung email nila once they use the Facebook. So yan. So maganda naman yung trek. So marami na ang nasa social media. Others are also using TikTok and Twitter. And I think walang nasa LinkedIn, no, which is a business account then, no. And number 6, we have an e-commerce they already have an e-commerce or website presence, no, either through provisions from government sites, no. We have the APEC MSME marketplace, which we created in 2017. It was launched in 2017 and was actually committed by the Philippines during its APEC hosting in 2015. So we have that. The OST1 store, which was recently set up, no? 16 of the 47 are in the DOST1 store. So good enough. We also have others. The coopbiz.ph, 4 ang merong gumagamit. So these are shared economy platforms, no? So maganda rin to, pero hopefully the others will also have their own website then, no? Sige, tinitignan ko may ibang mga sumasagot na meron sila. Anyway, feel free to answer po, wala pong bayad to kasi we just want to have a feel kung nasa na talaga ang Philippine SME in terms of digitalization. And this afternoon po, we are going to discuss yung yung ating payment tools, no? And nakita namin na karamihan sa ating SMEs from our previous episode are using the major payment gateways. Of course, yung mga online banking, your own banks, yung facilities yun, you have BDO, you have Land Bank, you're using that. So 26%, no? Pero mas marami pa rin yung gumagamit ng GCash, which is 93%, and a bit are using their credit cards. Of course, yung iba ayaw talaga nilang gamitin yung credit cards nila. So yun lang, I think there are many other payment tools na pwede natin gamitin, and we hope that you will also see the benefits of using those payment gateways, no? If you are not if you are not yet parang confident in using your credit card or using your own bank, no, you want to use other facilities or yung ganon. So we will be presenting those options to you this afternoon. May dalawa kaming in-invite, and we have also invited a speaker from Mastercard, from JustPay2, and also from Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas. Hopefully, we will be able to learn siguro yung yung mga possible options ninyo. So marami pong salamat. I hope I have put a context into this meeting, into this hindi naman kasi to meeting, to this information session. So marami pong salamat, and back to you, Lovely or Carissa, whoever is available. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon as well, Ms. Ching. Thank you for that concise yet informative overview of the Philippine MSMEs.
We request everyone to turn on their cameras for a virtual picture-taking opportunity. May I request the assistance of our tech team in capturing our beautiful smiles.
Thank you, Ms. Cherry, for your assistance. Okay, now, moving forward, to start with, we have invited a representative from the Financial Inclusion Office of the Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas, who will be discussing about the various digital finance advocacies they are offering. Let me just go back a little bit. Again, we invited a representative from the Financial Inclusion Office of the Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas, who will be discussing about the various digital finance advocacies they are offering for MSMEs. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Ms. Golda P. Kainglet. Good afternoon po, Ms. Golda.
Good afternoon po to our colleagues from DTI. And Ms. Lovely, I believe I sent the secretariat the presentation po.
Sige po, let
Thank
me.
you.
Opo, thank you.
Okay, so again, thank you very much, Ms. Lovely. So again, good afternoon po to our colleagues from the DTI and also to the regional offices as well as our guest MSMEs po. Good afternoon po. Thank you very much for inviting the BSP to attend this to present in this DigiTalks event. So this afternoon, I will be presenting digital financial inclusion for MSMEs. So next slide, please. So I begin with the definition of what is financial inclusion. So financial inclusion is a state in which everyone, especially the vulnerable sectors, has effective access to a wide range of financial services. So effective access means not only the availability of these financial products and services, but that these products and services are appropriately designed, of good quality, and responsive to the varied needs of individuals, businesses, including MSMEs, whether for saving, payments, financing, investing, or getting insured. So the financial inclusion is actually included in seven of the 17 Sustainable Development Goals. These include no poverty, zero hunger, good health and well-being, gender equality, decent work and economic growth, industry innovation and infrastructure, as well as reduce inequalities. So financial services are important tools that Filipinos can use to help achieve their life aspirations, whether that is having a home, starting a business, or giving their children quality education. So for MSMEs, access to financial services will allow them to grow their businesses and provide more livelihood to their communities. So next slide, please. So in January of this year, the BSP and the Financial Inclusion Steering Committee developed the National Strategy for Financial Inclusion 2022 to 2028. So the NSFI reflects our collective aspiration for all Filipinos and their families to be financially included so they can build financial resilience and maximize economic opportunities. So as we can see from the slide, the vision is financial inclusion toward inclusive growth and financial resilience. By financial resilience, it means that we will be prepared in case there will be shocks, such as what we experienced during the pandemic. So the NSFI has 4 strategic objectives: promote inclusive digital finance, strengthen financial education and consumer protection, enhance access to risk protection and social safety nets, and enhance agriculture and MSME financing ecosystem. So as we can see, we have a specific strategic objective for to improve the financing ecosystem for MSMEs. So next slide, please. So what is a basic indicator or measure for financial inclusion? So the BSP actually has the Financial Inclusion Survey, which we release every 2 years since 2015. So a basic indicator of financial inclusion is account ownership. So by accounts here, this does not only refer to bank accounts, but this also includes e-money accounts, accounts with non-stock cooperatives, as well as MFNGOs. So by accounts, we mean that this can be used to save money, receive salary, benefits, or financial assistance, send and receive remittances, and even pay bills. So as we can see here in 2019, 29% of Filipino adults have formal accounts, but this greatly increased to 56% of Filipino adults having an account in 2021. So this is really a great improvement that we saw. And the main driver for this is the growth of e-money accounts or electronic money accounts. I believe most of us here are familiar with e-money accounts because this include GCash, Maya, GrabPay, for example. So in this slide, we can see that 27.5 million Filipinos are now e-money account users, and 61% of Filipino adults are aware of e-money agents. 42% of Filipino adults also find e-money agents as accessible touchpoints versus only 6% in 2019. Now, meanwhile, the basic deposit account, if not everyone is familiar with the BDA. The BDA is a basic deposit account, which is an interest or non-interest bearing account designed to promote financial inclusion. This account will enable Filipinos, especially the unserved and underserved, to receive and make payments as well as have a facility to store a value. So some of the key features of the BDA, it is that it has a liberalized customer onboarding. It follows a simplified know your customer approach for low-risk customers, wherein identifying the customer and verifying their true identity may be based on any document or information reduced in writing. Also, the opening amount is not more than 100 pesos. It has no maintaining balance. It has no dormancy fees. And the maximum balance is not more than 50,000 pesos. Now, as of 2021, there are 7.9 million users, and that is a growth of 19%. There are 141 banks offering BDA, and the amount of outstanding amount in BDA is 5.1 billion pesos. So on the next slide, please. So as seen from the survey which was presented by Ma'am Cynthia, a lot of our MSMEs are using or at least familiar when it comes to online transactions. So some of these terms may already be familiar with you, but just to walk you through, the establishment of an efficient retail payment system is facilitated under interoperable, real-time, and affordable account-to-account payments. So the BSP launched the National Retail Payment System. This is the policy and regulatory framework that aims to provide direction in carrying out retail payment activities. So through BSP supervised financial institutions, which led to the launching of the PesoNet and the InstaPay. So these two are the electronic fund transfer schemes that allow convenient account-to-account transfer of money, which proved to be a lifesaver during the pandemic. So with PesoNet, people are given a digital alternative to check for planned transactions. Funds become available to recipient through batch EFTs on the same day, but subject to cut-offs. Meanwhile, with the InstaPay, people were able to readily pay and send money to anyone with an account for up to 50,000 pesos with a few clicks on their phone. Meanwhile, eGovPay is a digital payments use case that enables individuals and businesses to make government payments online. Lastly, QR or Quick Response PH promotes person-to-person merchant payments through an interoperable national QR codes standard. So I think the QR is more familiar with our MSMEs, especially those using GCash, for example, and Maya. So next slide, please. So what are our current initiatives for MSMEs? So there are a number of initiatives that we have, but I will focus on these three. So the first one is the Paleng QRPH. Now, this is not an app, a new app, but this is a project a joint program by the DILG and the BSP. It is a collaboration framework which enjoins LGUs to push for the acceptance of digital payments among market vendors, community shopkeepers, and tricycle operators and drivers in all cities and municipalities in the country. Second is the standard business loan application form for MSMEs, which is a will be adopted by BSFIs or BSP supervised financial institutions as part of the broader efforts to enhance the availability of financial products and services. The third one is the basic merchant account, but this is at the we are still at the conceptual stage of this policy framework, but the main purpose of the BMA is to further encourage the shift to person to merchant payments, and this is a policy framework which intends to promote the uptake of merchant accounts among our MSMEs to enable them not only to accept digital payments but also build a transaction profile which could further unlock access to financial services. So, next slide, please. So I will discuss each of these in detail. So the first one is the PalengQRPH. So with the aim of advancing digital financial inclusion, the BSP, together with the Department of Interior and Local Government, jointly developed the PalengQRPH program. Last June 2022, joint memorandum circular of the BSP and the DILG was issued enjoining LGUs to support and adopt the program in their respective jurisdictions. So palenques serve as a crucial piece in our envisioned inclusive digital payments ecosystems, since market purchases form part of the typical Filipinos' daily payment pattern. Digitalizing market transactions will make account ownership more compelling, greatly expand digital financial inclusion. Now, the PalengQRPH also seeks to onboard market vendors and tricycle drivers to accounts and empower them to accept and send digital payments via the QRPH. So next slide, please. So what are the key elements of the PalengQRPH program? So first is a policy issuance in which the LGUs shall promulgate ordinances on the use of QRPH-enabled digital payments in public markets and among tricycle drivers. Vendors and operators shall display the QR codes in their stores and vehicles for the convenience of customers who wish to pay digitally. A second element is the account onboarding of merchants and drivers. So the local government unit who is participating in the PalengQR program, in coordination with the financial service providers, shall provide the necessary assistance to the small merchants, tricycle operators, and drivers in opening a QRPH-ready transaction account. Lastly, a key element of this program is financial literacy, in which the local government units shall develop its financial literacy program to promote and sustain the objectives of the PalengQRPH program. This will cover, among others, a financial literacy program using appropriate channels on key topics, such as effective use of digital payments in business, financial services for MSMEs, as well as consumer protection. So next slide, please. So as we have seen in the introduction earlier, MSMEs play a critical role in the country's economic growth as well as employment generation. But it is recognized that the sector also faces limited financing options and high financing costs, which which affect its performance and competitiveness. So MSMEs are typically less likely to apply and get approved for bank financing due to lack of collateral and credit history, inadequate documentary requirements, and perceived slow turnaround of low applications for urgent working capital requirements. So with the standardized loan form, it is envisioned to yield long-term benefits for both the MSME sector and the banking industry. So, for example, for the banking industry, having a standardized business loan application, the benefits would include improved risk assessment, faster turnaround time, and easier transition to automated process. Meanwhile, for the borrowers, especially our MSMEs, a loan application will have a faster turnaround time. It will be more consumer friendly and easily understood, and it promotes consumer protection. Next slide, please. So these are just snapshots of the SPLAF templates. So as an update, BSP Circular number 1156 was already issued in September 30, 2022. And then it was published in October 13, 2022 in a general circulation newspaper. And then, so its effectivity is 15 days after this. So the covered BSFIs will have a transition period of 1 year and 6 months to adopt the SBLAF in their systems. So next slide, please. So the basic merchant account. So by merchant account, we define this as a type of business transaction account that allows MSMEs to accept digital person to merchant payments. Digital P2M payments include those made by customers using their credit or debit cards, prepaid cards, or transaction accounts through any of the following modes. So earlier we have the electronic fund transfer facilities, online payment gateways, point of sale terminal, and the QR code. So for the BMA, this is a business account that caters to MSMEs, particularly the micro merchants. So it is envisioned that the BMA is a no-frills account similar to the BDA with simpler onboarding rules and ease of maintaining and use of account. So the target really here is for our micro merchants to open an account, so it will facilitate both digitalization and faster transaction, ease of doing transactions with their customers. So next slide, please. So as of now, the BMA is still an ongoing policy. It's still an ongoing policy formulation. So we are proposing this as we see that it will be critical for the BMA to facilitate greater financial inclusion among our MSMEs. So by enabling a no-frills business account that will allow them to accept digital payments and also build a digital footprint based on transactional data and open the gateway to access more financial capital and avail of financial services. Secondly, the BMA can promote transaction account ownership even among the consumers, patronizing micro merchants as it builds a use case for small value clients, particularly in wet markets or in our sari-sari stores. This creates the necessity for the consumer, thus addressing the perennial lack of need to owning an account. Lastly, the BMA can expand the digital payments ecosystem, specifically the person-to-merchant stream. A micro-merchant ownership of a BMA gives them access to an account which they will be the ones to shoulder the merchant discount rate, thus encouraging consumers to shift to digital payments. So those are next slide, please. So that was my last slide. So I hope I was able to share some of the key initiatives that the BSP is currently supporting and undertaking to support digital financial inclusion of MSMEs. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Ms. Kainglet, for that wonderful presentation. We appreciate the Bangko Central for accommodating and sharing with us their awareness programs that MSMEs can learn and avail to improve their skills and knowledge. For any questions, you may raise your hand or type in your questions in our chat box. I have one question here. Meron pong nag-PM to me, Ms. Kainglet. It is a bit difficult daw po to transact with banks online. Ano po ba daw yung activities, or how is BSP addressing the ease of doing business with banks po?
Thank you po. May I ask po, in what way was the difficulty experience? Was there a specific instance po which can be described po?
What is BSP doing to ease banking online? Yun daw po, Ms. Kainglet.
Banking online?
Yes.
So based on the three initiatives that we have, so first we really encourage our MSMEs to open an account, not only MSMEs but also consumers, since having a transaction account will be the gateway to use other financial services. So we also have our financial literacy programs that educate our consumers when it comes to what are the benefits of having an account, what are the different types of account, and those alike. In terms of the difficulty mentioned about transacting with banks, if our guests can give a more concrete example, maybe we can help address this.
Okay po.
Thank you.
Thank you. Siguro po, Ms. Kainglet, we will share yung official email ni BSP in case they have any further questions. Meron po pong isang comment here, Ms. Kainglet, if you
Sure.
Meron po akong fear na ma-scam, lalo na po yung mga nakikita ko sa mga balita, kaya mas okay pa din sa akin mag-cash.
We understand that po, and it has really become very rampant po, lalo po nung pandemic. But in the BSP, especially for example in the BSP website, meron po tayo doong mga modules about consumer empowerment and consumer protection. Nagbibigay po doon ng mga definitions on what is phishing, what is scam, what are scams. So siguro po maganda po talaga yung mga financial literacy programs if may opportunity po, not only from the BSP but also from our financial services providers na makapagbigay ng mga financial education sessions na yun. Malaking tulong po yun para sa ating mga consumers po, para sa ating mga MSMEs po. Pero ano po?
Thank you po, Ms. Kainglet.
Siguro
po, we will check out na lang din po yung na-mention nyo pong financial literacy on your website. Po ba ito available?
Yes, available po ito sa ating I can share po the link dito po sa chat box natin in a while po.
Sige po. Thank you po, Ms. Kainglet. If there are no more questions, I think we will be able na lang din to reach out to you further kapag may participants po na nag-reach out sa amin. We'll just leave your contact details na lang din later on. Thank you very much po, Ms. Kainglet.
Maraming salamat din po.
Lovely. Miss Kainglet.
Yes po. Yes, ma'am.
Miss Ching here.
Yes, ma'am.
Gusto ko
Good
lang uling
afternoon po.
before ayoko kasi masayang yung presence ng
Sure
BSP ngayon. Siguro baka ako yung nagtanong na yun Gusto ko lang malaman na yung minsan 'di ba yung importante kasi dun sa mga siguro gaya kung may bank account na pag yung nag-share siya ng kanyang mga bank account, ano ba yun, very yung sa online, ayaw nilang mag-online kasi nga baka ma-share yung account nila, ganyan-ganyan, baka eventually mas-scam sila, ganun. Ano ba yung nun? What are really the risks dun sa sharing mo, yung pag-enter mo to an online banking system?
Siguro po ma'am, for protection dun, kasi kung like sharing lang po yung bank account, may another layer pa po of protection sana. Yun yung sa two-step verification. Like for example, hindi ma-authorize yung isang online transaction kung hindi po natin for example na-key in yung code, one-time PIN na pinapadala po sa ating cellphone. So parang iyon po ma'am yung added layer of protection doon na hindi ma-authorize yung transfer. Like let's say po ma'am sa e-money like yung GCash or sa Maya natin na bank account. For example lang po. So for example, magta-transfer ka pero hindi po yun ma'am mag-take effect kung wala yung one-time PIN na yun na ipapadala po mismo sa cellphone ng user. So one example lang po yun ma'am ng mga protection na pwede nating malagay like yung mga two-step verification, strengthening po ng mga PIN numbers natin, hindi po yung birthday natin, hindi po yung mga simple lang, 1, 2, 3, 4, hindi po yun. So yun lang ma'am
1, 2,
yung
3,
mga...
4, 5.
Yes po.
Yes,
So,
thank you, Miss Kainglet.
yes po.
Yes. So yun, yung may OTP pala, no? So yung iba kasi talagang takot na takot. So yun, at least may OTP. Yung OTP, sinasend yon sa cellphone number mo, no? Nung mismong account holder. So kumbaga, hindi yun magagawa ng isang scammer kasi wala sa kanya yung mobile device mo unless nasa kanya rin yung mobile device mo. Yun nga.
Or unless i-share nyo po yung PIN na yun.
Okay.
Kaya po yes po.
Oh,
kaya
yes, yun. So yun, meron naman mga modes of verification na at least protected tayo na tinitingnan din yun ng Bangko Sentral. So maraming salamat Ms. Kainlet for responding to my question. Thank you.
Okay, thank you po Ms. Ching. Ms. Kainlet, we have 2 more hands na raising if it's okay po. First we have Burger Food and Beverage. Please unmute lang po.
Hello po, good afternoon.
Good afternoon po.
May question lang po ako about this sa palang QR.
Yes po.
Kasi po yung dalawa po kasi yung business ko. Yung isa po ay nakatayo sa food park. Meron po kami dito na maximum of around 42 stalls. Magiging applicable din po ba sa amin? Pwede po ba namin magamit? Paano po kami makaka-apply or lalapit din po ba kami sa LGU for the help?
Okay, sir. Saang LGU po ba sila, sir?
Ibaan, Batangas po.
Batangas. Bali, sir, under, sir, the paling QR, so ang isa sa mga pinakamahalagang steps dun, sir, is yung LGU niyo po mismo, sir, mag-issue ng isang, let's say, ordinance na gagawin niya po mandatory yung mga cashless payments. So, yun po, sir, if like for example sa ngayon, yung Baguio City, sir, yung naka-launch na, sir, ginagawa nila yung ordinance para ma-mandate po and incentivize yung paggamit ng QR codes para sa payments. So, bali, sir, yun, mahalaga po, sir, yung issuance ng ordinance ng inyong LGUs. Tapos, kung afternoon, sir, yung mga magkakaroon po, sir, ng account onboarding day, bali, yung mga LGUs mag-organize, kasama din po yung support ng PSP and DILG, as well as mga participating financial service providers na tutulong po both sa consumers and sa mga merchants na maka-open ng account na QR ready na po. Yun po, sir.
Okay. Sige po. Tatanong ko din po sa LGU dito kung meron po silang plan.
Yes po.
Then, doon na lang po siguro kami mag-start.
Yes, sir. Pwede, sir, mag-participate if po, sir, nag-express na rin ng interest yung inyong LGU po.
Yes po. Sige po. Thank you po, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Salamat din po.
Thank you po. Miss Kainglet, another one is raising her hand. Miss Cheryl Pedrera.
Good afternoon,
ma'am.
Good afternoon, ma'am.
Ma'am, itatanong ko lang, are you preparing the banks to go paperless? Kasi minsan nag-apply ako for change of card. Kailangan pang pumunta doon, pandemic noon. So, yung ganun po.
paperless. Sa ngayon, ma'am, yung masasagot ko lang po, ma'am, yung about sa standard business loan, yung SBLAF po, standard business loan application form. So, bali po, ma'am, so masisimplify na po kasi standardized na yung ating loan application. So kung na-adapt, kasi nasa transition stage pa lang po yung ating mga BSFI sa pag-adapt ng SBLAF, kasama dun yun ma'am yung both printed and also ma'am sa online na mga channels ng banks yung pag-adapt ng SBLAF na application form. So depende din po yan ma'am sa ating mga BSFIs, pero at least dun po ma'am sa ating SBLAF, in-encourage din po namin ma'am na pati sa kanilang mga online channels, ma-adapt din po nila ito para mas madali sa mga customers. In-encourage po namin sila.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you din po ma'am.
Thank you po. I know medyo active yung participants po namin, Miss Kainglet, pero one last
worries.
question
Sure po.
before you go.
Opo.
Meron pong question si Miss Jeannie Espiritu. Ma'am, how about po yung mga charges ng bank transfer at GCash? Ma-regulate po ba ng BSP yun? Tapos po, kung kailan sahod, naka-offline yung mga ATM. Dapat po siguro ma-monitor ito ng BSP. Pwede i-concern.
Salamat po ma'am. Una po dun ma'am sa mga sa fees ng mga sa bank transfer fees. Actually ma'am, sa ngayon kasi market driven po siya. So depende din po ma'am sa business model ng ating mga BSFIs. Pero in terms of regulation, parang sa ngayon parang hindi pa naman, ibabalikan ko na lang kayo ma'am kung may specific regulation on that po. Pero sa ngayon ma'am, it's more market driven po. So kung mas marami pong mga players sa market natin, like for example mga financial technology companies na magjo-join and makakapagbigay ng digital options para sa ating mga payments, likely po bababa po or magiging mas competitive yung mga interbank fees natin. Regarding naman po dun ma'am sa mga ATMs na nag-offline during sahod, sige ma'am, sa ngayon wala ako ma'am ready answer, pero note ko muna po ma'am at pwede ko po kayo ma'am balikan through DTI if okay lang po.
Sige po. We will get her email na lang din po, Miss Kainglet. Thank
Salamat
you po.
Pero thank you for raising the concern, ma'am.
Ayan. I know very, very active po yung participants namin, but
Sure po.
with limited time, I think let's do a wrap up for now. And if there are questions na maiwan sa chat box, we will definitely give them to Miss Kainglet. So feel free to chat pa din.
Sure po.
Thank you, Miss
po.
Kainglet, and
You're
to our
welcome.
participants.
Thank you
Ayan.
po.
A round of applause, please. But bago po tayo pumunta sa susunod na part ng program natin, no, may I also remind everyone to fill out the attendance form for today's session. Just click the link in the chat box because certificates po will be issued as long as you will be able to attend at least 4 sessions and have completed to fill out the customer satisfactory form or CSF, which will be posted later on. So ayan. What a way to start our session today. Now naman po, may we kindly request naman our participants who have not yet accomplished the online MSME digitalization survey to kindly fill up the online form. This was also shared last week. Yun po yung na-present kanina ni Ms. Jing. So just kindly click the link in the chat box. The survey takes about 10 to 15 minutes to complete, and we hope that you can spare time in answering the survey. In this regard po, we are conducting this short survey to determine the digitalization status of DTI-assisted MSMEs. Said information will be used by the Bureau as input in designing the succeeding information sessions, as well as in developing plans, activities, and projects that will help in accelerating the digitalization of our MSMEs. Ayan. Moving on. The next topic we'll be focusing on remote and contactless payments. In addition to this, our next presenter will introduce their online payment platform that connects to various payment methods, which makes sending, selling, spending, and receiving money easy, simple, and convenient. Ladies and gentlemen, let us welcome the Managing Director of Just Pay 2 Philippines, Mr. PJ Castro. Good afternoon po.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone.
Yes, you
Hi.
may proceed na po. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much for DTI for inviting us. Good afternoon, everyone who's joining this session. I'm PJ Castro. I'm one of the founders and managing director of Just Pay 2. Kami ay isang partner ng DTI. We're also one of our accredited BSP OPS system. So what I'll do is I'll present to you our system, hopefully that you can use it for you to be able to accept payments safely, conveniently, and easily straight to your bank account. Can I share my screen, ma'am? Yeah, share screens. Okay. Can everyone see my screen before I proceed?
Yes, we can see it.
Okay. So I'll try to make this quick as possible. So this presentation should take no more than 15 minutes. I'll discuss who we are, who is Just Pay 2. I'll show 2 slides on the digital payments market and why is it important to go digital. Why is it important also to be able to accept all forms of payment, hindi lang cash, hindi lang GCash, pati credit card at saka debit cards at saka mga prepaid cards kasi medyo malaki yung market. I will show how Just Pay 2 works. I'm going to show actual live cases of companies using our system. And then if you want to sign up, I will flash kung paano mag-sign up sa system namin. In the interest of time, I could also put my my contact details. So in case you want more information about our system, we could set another meeting after this session. So without further ado, I would like to introduce you to our company. Our company is called Just Pay 2. We're a payments company licensed by the Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas. We're also working with them, hopefully in digitizing the whole Philippines. Our system allows you businesses to accept all forms of payment through web portal or through QR code. So it's not just bank-to-bank transfers, it's hindi lang pang e-wallet transfers, but also Visa and MasterCard, and in the future, cryptocurrency. So with one system, lahat talaga ng possible payment options, as a business owner, kaya nyo tanggapin. We're also PCI DSS certified, which means the system is not only good for local transactions, but it can also use for regional and international transactions. So what does this mean? With our system, makatanggap kayo ng pera. If meron kayong kliyente sa ibang bansa, you'll be able to receive payments from them using a MasterCard or Visa debit card or credit card. So just to give an idea, we're currently used already by established Philippine companies. We started this company about 2 years ago. So most of the people who use us right now are more established companies. So I guess it shows that if they're able to use us, we're hoping that we could also be used by MSMEs. Hopefully the goal is for the medium to transfer for the small to transfer to medium, and for the medium to transfer to large companies. So hopefully you'll be able to migrate and graduate to the next level. So yeah, these are the companies using our system already. We're used by pretty much AutoSweep, Beep, Buy It Center for paying bills. Ayala Malls using us, Petron, Jollibee, and McDonald's. And we're also partnered with all of the Philippines' top major banks. So just to give an idea, just a snapshot of the Philippine card market. As we all know, as mentioned in the previous speaker, majority pa rin right now, online payments ginagamit ng GCash, which is good. But just to let you know also that madaming tao may debit card. There are about 90.6 million debit cards in circulation in the Philippines. So as a business owner, that's also an opportunity for you. Ideally, kung ikaw isang business owner, you would like to accept not just GCash, but also the 90 million debit cards in the Philippines and also the 8.6 million credit cards in the Philippines para mas kompleto. So example, ako isang customer mo, I want to pay you, wala akong GCash, but meron akong debit card or credit card, you could still accept my payment. So ideally, as a business owner, you want all forms of payment to be able to be accepted by your company or by your business. So currently, this is the general payment segments in the Philippines. As you see, malaki in GCash, but as I said, ideally as a business owner, you want to be able to capture all that all the potential customers. Again, we want to focus on the 90.6 million debit card users because that's a big market for you as a business to accept. There's 8.6 million credit cards, 60 billion GCash, and 47.6 billion Paymaya. So what JustPay2 does, kami ay isang aggregator. We are aggregator. What does this mean is with one system, your company will be able, your business will be able to accept credit card payments, e-wallets, bank transfers, and future cryptocurrency. So hindi lang kami pang bank-to-bank transfer, kami rin ay pang Visa, Mastercard, at saka in the future cryptocurrency. Para lahat ng potential clients nyo, lahat ng potential possible payments, pwede yung ma-receive. This can be used for online payments, which I will show later. It can be also used for in-store contactless payments via QR code, no app required. The difference of our system at saka in current systems right now is sa system namin, di mo kailangan ng app. In makabayad, you don't need to download anything to make a payment to you, which I will show later kung nangyari. So we're used for online payments, remote payments, in-store contactless payments, and also in-store contactless ordering and payments. So I'll show you how, I'm going to show you some examples of live cases for remote payments. So when I say remote payments, these are for online payments. Example, like wala po ako sa tindahan, I want to pay you online, or before going to your store, gusto ko na mag-reserve na table. So for this example, I'm going to use is this bake shop located in Pasig called Brixton. So they're one of our many SME users. What we did is to create the portal for them. So how it works is we're going to create it's a URL, it's a website. So if you want to make a payment to Tilde, you just have to go to JustPay2 tilde, and you're now directed to their online portal. From here, I could now select how I want to pay. As I mentioned, the system accepts credit card, debit card, bank transfers, GCash, Paymaya, GrabPay, ShopeePay, Alipay, WeChat Pay, and other e-wallets, and also bank-to-bank transfers. So with one system, lahat nandiyan na. So I go to JustPay2 tilde. So in your case, JustPay2 tapos business name nyo. And then I will type in, this is my details. I will put in how I want to pay. I will put in how much I want to pay, and I will press pay now. As again, an OTP is sent for protection. An OTP is sent to my mobile phone for me to complete the transaction. So it's another step, it's another layer so that to protect the integrity of the system. Okay, so basically, if I'm paying tilde, I go to JustPay2 tilde. I type it in my browser, or I scan the QR code. Tilde is notified via SMS that payment has been made. Then the money is deposited directly into the bank account of that particular merchant. In this case, Tilde, I think, is using BPI. So we transfer the payment to BPI, and now Tilde, the merchant, can now use it to withdraw their money or to use it for the other online purchases. So this is the whole ecosystem we were doing in our system. So the best use case of JustPay2 is really for card payments online, both credit card, debit card, and prepaid cards. As you notice here, if you notice, itong phone nito, hindi kailangan smartphone. If you notice, I used a feature phone. So maski na walang data ang customer, maski na walang data ang branch nyo or yung business nyo, maski na a simple phone lang na feature phone, pwedeng it will work. Kasi from the point of view of the business owner, maski na walang data, you just have to remember yung URL nyo, anyone in the world can pay you, tapos itong phone notify lang na si PJ nagbayad na sa inyo. So the system is perfect for those without any smartphone or those without any data. The only time you need data is when you sign up with us. There's a one-time sign up system, sign up process for you to give us your details and for us to onboard you into our system. That's the only time you will be needing data with our system. After that, you don't need data. You could just use simple feature phone, like a Nokia phone, and you'll be able to receive payments from any of your customers. You just have to remember your URL, JustPay2 tilde, JustPay2 McDonald's, JustPay2 Petron, so on and so forth. And you just give it to your customer, tapos sila makabayad na sila using their own mobile phone. So what else do we do aside from that? We also do contactless ordering. For those with restaurants, dito kung making restaurants,
Hello
itong
po.
namin kasi during the pandemic is that dati before, right now, punta ka sa restaurant, mag-order ka, bibigay sa yung pagkain, and then you're gonna exchange your credit card and then pay for it. So this is very contactful. And ideally, because of COVID and because of the germs, we would like to minimize contact from both order taking and from paying. So included in their system, when you sign up with us, meron ding menu. So you scan the QR code on which we'll give to you. Part of their system also, meron siyang menu. So you don't have to call the waiter. Pwede ka mag-order through your phone and you could pay your phone without having to call the waiter. This is also part of our system because we're also promoting not just contactless payments, but also contactless ordering. It's safer not just for you, but also for your customers. And it also can lower up your operating costs because you don't need the waiter not to get the customer's order. Your customers can go straight to their table and order and pay without having to call a waiter. So this can it's not only safer for your customers because contactless, but it's also better for your business because it could lessen your overhead. Hindi mo na kailangan ng manpower ng waiter para kumuha ng order at saka kumuha ng bayad. So that's for the contactless ordering and payments. The last thing I want to show is what the system does is contactless payments, no app required. So normally, if you go to normal, punta ka sa Ayala Malls, madami ka makitang QR code. Sa amin, it's only one QR code, similar to the QRPH. But the difference of us is that may kasama rin credit card option. So you scan the QR code. Again, the beauty about this is kung ako yung magbabayad sa inyo, hindi mo kailangan ng yung customers nyo, they don't need to download any app. They just scan the QR code and then they're going to be directed to the portal to pay you. So this is how it looks like. So this is an example from Petron, who's one of our partners. So similarly, we could also this is also applicable to your stores. So scan the QR code. The portal will direct you to the portal of that particular business, in this case Petron, where I could now select how I want to pay and then enter the amount I want to pay and pay Petron. So this is being done already in selected Petron stations, and of course, if it's being done by Petron, I'm sure it could be also done in your physical stores. Again, no app required, and it can also accept not just bank-to-bank transfer, which has here, or e-wallets, but also credit card, debit card, and prepaid card payments. So just to give you how it's being implemented right now in Petron, kung punta ka sa Petron, may QR code sila sa vest. So if you could imagine if you have a branch, pwede rin mga waiters na may QR code na sa harap. So as the customer, scan ko lang QR code, and then again, it will lead me to my phone, which I can now pay your business. Again, let me reiterate, no app required. It's a web app. You just need to have data. Your customers just need to have data on their phone to make a payment to you. No app required, and you could now receive payments. And payment is settled directly to your bank account. So what's it for your customers? For your customers, 100% contactless. Most customers would still like to use their credit card, Visa, MasterCard, and then you don't need a terminal anymore because the phone is the terminal. Their phone is the terminal. So hindi mo na kailangan mag-apply ng POS. You're in card terminal. More payment options. And the beauty about this is no downloading. They don't have to download anything. For the merchant naman, for DTI merchant, specifically for this, we waived all transaction fees. So no setup fees, no investment in hardware, wala kaming bond, no guarantee, no locked-in, no fixed fees. So kung hindi nyo gamitin, wala kayong babayaran sa amin. We just charge per transaction. Very easy we could set it up in 1 to 3 days, even 1 day kung mabilis lang. It's super easy to communicate. So lahat kayo bibigyan namin ng QR code so that customers can scan the QR code and easily pay you. Or we will also create a URL. So just pay to and then company name para madali ma-communicate sa inyong mga customers. No coding required at saka no website required because in itself, just pay to is a website in itself. So hindi mo na kailangan ng kumuha ng ibang website at saka hindi mo kailangan mag-aral ng coding. So no coding required, no website required. So to end, why digital? Because again, there's more reach. It's limitless customers. Anyone can pay you anytime. So it's not just Philippines, but the whole world is your customer. Kung more options, again, aside from bank-to-bank transfers and the e-wallets like GCash, you'll be able to accept credit card payments and in the future also cryptocurrency. We believe it's safer because payment is settled direct to your bank account. Wala kang cash hawak, so hindi ka mananakawan ng cash. Wala kang masyadong hold up, di ba? Kasi the fear, right? There was a question earlier, parang security. We believe talaga that digital is safer and more secure. Of course, with certain parameters, with certain like two-factor authentication, with OTPs, it's much safer because your business is not holding any cash. Hindi ka pwede ma-hold up para kunin yung cash. Yung cash is settled directly to your bank account. And of course, accounting, it's easier to keep track. Kung all ito digital, it's easier to keep track of their customers and of their payments. So if anyone would like to sign up, this is the sign up link. I could send it. I could also share with it in the chat group. This is our corporate details. Again, if I didn't want to bore you with all the details, but if you guys are interested to learn more, we could probably have another meeting for us to present more details of how it works and to answer all your questions.
Thank you po, Mr. Castro, for that great presentation about your company services. We hope that everyone would be able to try Just Pay 2 since this is very helpful for businesses. For our participants, you may now raise your hand or type in your questions in the chat box. Actually, mayroon na po kaming nakaready na nakadalawa sa Mr. Castro. First po is Mr. From Del Burger Food and Beverage House. How much po daw ang fee per transaction?
Okay, we charge a standard for credit cards. We charge it depending on we charge 1 to 3% plus 10 pesos. So to clarify, no, kami 10 pesos ang charge namin, but for the card, for Visa, MasterCard, they charge anywhere from 1% to 3% depending on the category of the merchant. So kung food yan, mga 2.5%, and then kami we add 10 pesos. So on average, 2.5 plus 10 pesos on the fees. The fees are normally charged to the merchant. Those are the rules normally, is the fees are charged to the merchant. So if you get the terminal, a POS terminal for your stores, normally the fees are about 2.2% to 2.5%. So kami, we charge a 10 pesos flat fee regardless of the transaction amount.
Okay. Noted po. Ayan. Sir, ayan, nag-face reveal na po ako kanina kasi struggling ako sa internet. But, yeah. Next question po is from Mr. Wilder Quaresma. May portal po ba to view your business transaction?
Yes. So short answer is yes. All our partners have a dashboard to see all transactions in real time. It shows you the transaction, it shows you the name of the payer, their contact details, and also how much they paid and magkano yung total payment, how much our fees were, tapos magkano na deposit sa bank account nila. So every time there's a transaction, to add to that, no, every time may transaction, you will get notified via SMS, email, at saka dashboard. So in real time notification.
Sige po. Maybe later on, Sir Mr. Castro, we will leave your contact details then just in case. Sir, meron daw pong registration link. I believe i-share din mamaya ni Mr. Castro. But si Ms. Ching is raising her hand. Ms. Ching, good afternoon po.
Yes, good afternoon, Sir PJ. Anyway, nagkikita na kami ni Sir PJ, no, sa mga meetings natin. Gusto ko lang matanong, sabi kasi may website pero hindi siya nada-download, no? It's not an app.
Yes, it works without an app. So you just scan the QR code and your phone will be directed to that portal that the customer can pay you. So it's drop down how I want to pay. Example, Miss Ching, may business card. Just pay to Ching. I scan the QR code and then I could pay using what's available. So no app, no need to download anything.
Okay, thank you. One more question, no? Kasi kung ako hindi hindi naman ako enterprise. I'm just a normal citizen. Wala akong negosyo. Pero gusto ko lang gamitin yung Just Pay 2. So is it more efficient than GCash or whatever?
I won't say it's more or less efficient. I'm saying that because GCash is our partner eh. So example, if may GCash to GCash, then gamitin nyo yan. Kami lang, example, kung GCash and down, we're an alternative. Kasi with our system, example, I could now accept not just GCash, but also GrabPay payments, Shopee Pay payments, WeChat payments. So this is perfect also for, I'll give you a use case na lang, no? Sa Boracay, madaming turista. In mga turista, sometimes wala silang GCash. So they could pay using their credit card. They could pay using their WeChat Pay. So in mga merchants sa Boracay, in mga shops doon, mga restaurants doon, it's widely used because hindi lang GCash yung ginagamit ng mga turista. Ibang turista galing from China, ginagamit WeChat or Alipay. So if they scan the QR codes, they're going to select Alipay payments. So we're not competing with GCash. In fact, GCash is our partner. We process GCash payments. It's not better, we're complementary to GCash.
Okay, thank you for that.
The minimum requirements for you to use Just Pay 2 is you need to be registered with the DTI at least. So
okay. So paano ako wala akong registration sa DTI, hindi ako makaka-register? Walang ibang option? Can I give my TIN number or whatever?
Right now, ma'am, you need to be registered with either the SEC or DTI.
Okay. So dapat negosyo ko somehow, no?
Negosyo.
Okay, sige. Thank you, PJ.
Thank you, Ms. Ching and Sir PJ. If we receive further questions, Mr. Castro, we will definitely reach out and send them to you. But for now, let's do a wrap-up for Just Pay 2. And a round of applause, please, for Mr. PJ Castro. Thank you, Sir PJ, and good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Thank you.
Up next, we have requested a message of support from our regional directors via video presentation, who will share with us on the digital initiatives of DTI Region 9 that could help inspire you to shift to digitalization. Ladies and gentlemen, our regional director from Region 9, RD Alzamir Lipay.
Digitalization and the smart use of information and communication technologies are significant factors of a booming innovation, competitiveness, as well as growth. And these provide diverse opportunities for MSMEs to strengthen their market niche and flexibility to unpredictable demand and supply shocks. As large enterprises increasingly avail the advantages offered by the digital innovations today, MSMEs must follow suit to avoid being left behind from rapidly transforming markets and supply chains. MSMEs can use their small size to their advantage to surpass big businesses via digitalization. With one panelist adding that many big businesses have a harder journey to get online than perhaps more nimble entrepreneurs just starting out. E-commerce in particular is highlighted as a key digitalization element where MSMEs have an advantage over larger enterprises. For Zamboanga Peninsula, we are proud to showcase the successes of our assisted MSMEs within the likes of Sweet Affairs and Team Healthy Food Stores of Zamboanga City, Coco Turmeric Health Products, Gusdazo Alimentos Corporation, and Jane's Food Products of Zamboanga del Norte, Paglinawan Organic Eco Farm, and Midsali Farmers Multipurpose Cooperative of Zamboanga del Sur, Jox Agricultural Products Trading, and Jerusalem Herbal Products Trading of Zamboanga Sibugay Province, who have set up their own website, social media accounts, and of course, their presence in various marketing platforms like Lazada and Shopee, and have even go as far as partnering with third-party delivery service providers like Foodpanda and Maxim. Truly, We have ushered our MSMEs to where they should be, and we will continue providing information to MSMEs on the different technology tools, applications, platforms, and resources available in coping with the challenges and disruptions in this fourth and upcoming fifth industrial revolutions. And so, we are one in saying, in e-commerce, there is market access, there is digitalization, there is logistics integration, kaya basta e-commerce, madali.
Thank you very much, DTI Region 9, for that enlightening message for our MSMEs. Thank you as well, RT Lipayo, for sharing your digitalization efforts in your region. We're sure a lot of MSMEs here are taking note of the benefits of your MSMEs that have experienced through digitalization. Up next, for our last but definitely not the least, the topic is about challenges MSMEs face in managing and growing their business. Our next presenter has been a payments professional for 40 years. He joined MasterCard Singapore in 2016, having worked for two major Australian banks. He also spent several years consulting to organizations. Since relocating, he has worked with banks in Southeast Asia, including several in the Philippines, assisting development in their commercial payment solutions. More recently, he has focused on small and medium enterprises and is presently Director Product Management, leading Beyond Card Solutioning in MasterCard's SME team. In this role, he's focusing on developing and launching innovations, assisting SMEs digitizing their business. Ladies and gentlemen, the Product Management Director of MasterCard Asia Pacific, Mr. Peter Ran. Good afternoon po, Mr. Peter.
Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for inviting me to your interesting session. I've been listening in since the start, and I found all of the sessions interesting. And in particular, I'd like to thank the small business owners who've taken time out of extraordinarily busy days to manage to slot in some time for these sessions today. Let's see if we can get my slideshow to actually project to the screen. If not, I'll get the producers to actually do that. There we go. I knew it'd be faster if you did it, and I gave system preference permissions to do this. Terrific. Thank you again, once again, for your time. If we could move on to just quickly to the next slide, please. The usual disclaimers and so forth around the legal, which we have to cover off. Let's move on to the next one. Just a very quick number. This has been rounded up. The earlier numbers from the DTI were a little bit more accurate than mine, but a million micro small businesses in the Philippines is a significant number. But overall, right around the region, you don't need to feel isolated. In fact, the massive percentage of businesses within Asia Pacific are micro and small businesses. They employ the vast majority of people, just over half, in fact, are involved in small businesses, and they generate a significant amount of gross national product for all of their markets. So small business is truly big business in our world, and I'm proud to be part of MasterCard's small business product team here in Singapore. I'm closely aligned to the Philippines. I have a Filipino partner. I have a house in Cebu, and I share farm a small rice plot down in Mindanao. So I'm very close to the Philippines, although you must forgive my Tagalog, which is dreadful. So I won't even try to cover off. So please forgive me my Australian version of English. On to the next slide, thanks. We heard some of this data earlier on, and in the last video as well. But the challenges that small businesses have faced through COVID has really galvanized creativity, not only in the small businesses themselves, but also in the fintechs that are serving the small businesses. And we heard just before the video from PJ on some of the solutions that his organisation has developed to assist organisations move towards digitalisation and away from cash, and that was driven out of the fact that feet on the street just weren't happening throughout lockdowns, but people still need to exist, and people still needed to manage their businesses in a very, very new and very, very different world. And out of that, we saw businesses that were typically cash-based suddenly moved to digitalisation. We saw an explosion in the number of wallets that are in existence in the Philippines, for example, the GCashes and PayMyers and so forth of this world, which I incidentally have as well, right the way through to cards as well. So we've seen some unique situations happening over this last 2 or 3 years that's really, really pushed businesses to think of new ways to serve their clients. And in doing so, they've uncovered ways of attracting new clients. And we heard in the video just a moment or two ago, and also from PJ, that businesses can now reach beyond their borders. My suppliers in the Philippines that traditionally only served me because I could walk in, could reach beyond that because all of a sudden they were using delivery services such as Grab Food, for example, to be able to service new clients. So on to the next slide, thanks. So broadly, MasterCard has separated the way we service the SME segments indirectly through those banks and financial institutions that offer MasterCard products and services is around these 4 pillars of pay and get paid, get capital, and get digital. And if you think about your own business, they're the drivers behind how you do things. You need capital to get started. You need to think about how you can get money in and money out of the organization, pay for goods and services. And then how do you make sure you can do that digitally so that you can reach out? And I heard some questions earlier about digital banking and so forth. So obviously digital is now becoming the new norm, if you like, for micro and small businesses. And that's something that I've seen that's quite evolutionary and only really just happening in this last 2 or 3 years. On to the next slide, please. So we'll dive into those 3 different topics in a little more detail. I'm conscious of the time and I don't want to overrun. So paying and get paid, this is critical. And we heard PJ go through some of the payment, getting paid aspects in his presentation, and moving away from cash is one of those critical aspects. But digital payments, importantly, allows businesses to be able to move new receivables as well as existing receivables across onto digital channels by enabling these new mechanisms. So on to the next slide. Thank you. Great. So PJ was talking about a number of acceptance type solutions. So these are about digitizing your payables, removing cash from your business and opening yourself up, importantly, to new markets as well. Martin, the guy that runs my little burger shop, opened himself up to new markets purely because he put Grab in as a result of COVID. Prior to that, if you couldn't walk in or drive in, you wouldn't have gone to Martin's. But we've taken that concept of digital payments and we've added to it the digital payable side as well. And if you think through your own businesses, you realize that accepting digital payments is just one part of the journey. You also need to be able to pay digitally as well. And that's an important aspect. So when we created what we now brand as SME Express, we did so with a view to creating a multitude of different features that were available to banks and financial institutions that are members and partners with MasterCard in delivering solutions to small businesses such as yourself. The ability to look beyond cash. And as Ajay Banga, our past CEO, said, and he drove this organization with it, he really looked to a world beyond cash. So adding to those comments that PJ made in his excellent presentation in respect to his own solutions, we picked up those along with a business MasterCard as well. And many small businesses still run their business on consumer solutions. That could be consumer payment solutions or consumer bank accounts. And our research has shown that consumer solutions are not ideal for small businesses. They have feature sets that aren't optimized for small businesses. They may have rewards, for example, that are more linked towards personal use rather than commercial use as well. And so we encourage our partner banks, partner issuers and acquirers to think of small businesses as much more of an ecosystem that needs to be separated. So we have a persona of a small business person who's the consumer, and equally we have the persona of the small business person who is also a small business person, and they do need to be kept separate. And for that reason, we've built out the SME Express solution. This is currently being deployed in markets around the region, and we're working with partners in the Philippines as well as Vietnam and Thailand, for example, to create this ecosystem of payables and receivables. But beyond that, we also recognize the need for small businesses to move away from paper-based accounting systems. They make it challenging for small businesses to obtain finance, for example, because your records aren't accurate. It's difficult for you to analyze and understand trends and so forth if everything is just paper. And in some cases, it's just cash in for the day, cash out for the day, what's left, that must be my profit for the day. And that's not quite right. So as you can see in some of these little satellite icons, in addition to the tap on phone and QR solution, we also have some of the other solutions as well, such as web stores and productivity, and that's through partners in some parts. Sometimes it's with MasterCard solutions. But tap on phone is worth just mentioning in this particular piece because it builds out what PJ said earlier. We know that small business owners often carry around their phone. It's what they live with. It's their livelihood in many respects. But what we've done is we've worked with technology partners to be able to enable that phone to be an acceptance device as well, so that you can use the phone along with an app that sits on the phone to be able to accept cards. And in markets where PINs are required, that's not the Philippines at the moment, but in markets where the PINs are required for transactions, they can even accept PINs as well. So it's quite sophisticated in that way. So building on the QR, building on the web stores and the solutions that PJ had, we also are working with providers for this tap on phone type technology in conjunction with the partner, with the payment card as well. On to the next slide, please. So just summarizing, what are the benefits for SME Express? That's that concept of payables and receivables in one solution from your provider, keeping up with changing demands by offering that digital and choice that PJ was so eloquent in his explanation of choice, the ability to accept digital, the ability to pay for business expenses. That's important, but you keep that separate from your personal expenses. Otherwise, at the end of the year, when you're trying to work out what your taxation is for your business, it's very, very difficult for you to work out whether this was personal, this was business, this was personal. It's much better if they're separated and you keep your business and your person as separate entities. And then finally, that digitization. Okay, on to the next slide, please. The second pillar I wanted to touch on briefly was get capital. And I know from personal experience in talking to micro business owners all around Southeast Asia and in Australia as well, that getting capital, particularly as early starts, is really, really challenging. We heard a little while ago about the standardized business application form for a line of credit, which is terrific. But at the same time, it's a paper form, and I had some questions around whether that can be digitized or whether it can be applied for digitally, for example. One other means of getting capital is to leverage installments, and it's particularly useful for new starts and for those organisations that don't have any credit history that a financial institution, be that a bank or a non-bank lender, can leverage on. So let's have a quick look at leveraging installments for small business. There's a number of different ways of offering installments, and one that's been used for many, many years in the Philippines is the installment offerings that are made by banks in conjunction with their cards. We've taken a slightly different approach with a partnership with an organisation called Pine Labs, and we're working avidly in the Philippines at the moment with Pine Labs and partners in the Philippines to bring the Pine Labs model of installments to the Philippines, and that will allow small businesses that maybe need to buy some new equipment. It could be a laptop, for example, they want to run their business on, or it might be to buy, a new point of sale or something like that. And we're working with Pine Labs and their partners to be able to offer installments on those capital items. And importantly, the vendor, the supplier of those capital items, the technology company, whoever it may be, is actually paying the cost of those. So there's no fees that are associated with extending those installments over maybe 2 months or 3 months, depending on the circumstances. Those fees are all borne by the supplier themselves. And that's good news for small businesses, because it means that you can have the benefit of using the item. You can generate revenue with it if it's to generate revenue, or it could be some other item that you need from a supplier that takes these small business credits. And a bit of noise there. Without it costing anything to you. So one of the aims of any corporate treasurer anywhere in the world is to try and use somebody else's money. So you buy today, you sell tomorrow, and you pay next week. And that flow, for though many of you will know, some of you may not, that flow is a working capital piece, and it benefits you financially if you can leverage this. And at the same time, it can help you as well with managing the costs of acquiring items for your businesses. So that's MasterCard installments in conjunction with Pine Labs. There are other installment solutions as well. We could talk for an hour about different installment solutions that are available, which is not going to be an effective use of your time. But please do watch out for what we're doing, as we're working with Pine Labs in the Philippines, and also, as we've rolled this out already in other markets nearby in Southeast Asia. So on to the last section, if we can move to the next slide, please. The benefits I've already summarised. They're here again. I presume that you'll have availability to this deck at a later date, so you'll be able to see those benefits. We've covered them in any case. So let's spend a little bit of time on the last pillar that I wanted to talk about. So if we can move to the next slide. One part of going digital, unfortunately, is that we have to think about security. And when we think about security in our traditional businesses, we put grills on the windows, we put in strong doors, we get good quality locks, we may put an alarm in. I've got 4 dogs in my house. They seem to be pretty good for security because they bark a lot. In fact, they bark at anybody that walks past just about. But we need to get more sophisticated when we're looking at digital security, because we're dealing with sophisticated systems. All right, and that can be something as simple as email. And down the bottom right-hand corner, we often think of cyber attacks and cyber security as something that affects big business. I don't know whether the problems that Optus are facing down in Australia have made the news in Manila in this last week or two. But we had another data breach down there with Medibank, who's our biggest health insurance company. So now there's most Australians have now got some kind of exposure to risk as a result of cyber attacks onto massive organizations that they would have thought would be protecting their data. The little grab down the bottom is a couple of years old now, but that was a florist here in Singapore who, to her dismay, despite having thought she had a very, very good week or so, found that she'd lost all of her money to a hacking event. And unfortunately, hacking happens even to small business. This is just a little florist in Singapore, and she lost a significant amount of money because she had to pay for that stock. So it really impacted her business. So we move on to the next slide. ID theft protection is just one of the solutions that we have available within an overall suite of cyber protections, and we do need to think about some of the other avenues that we've got. But ID theft is really quite critical, and we've already had, as a result of the Optus breach in Australia, there's already one person being charged with 90 offences of trying to obtain financial advantage by deception using information that he found on the dark web and threatening to expose it. And that's before the courts at the moment. So we really do have to think about how we protect our online identity to make sure that if we're providing information to anybody, that they're doing it for the right reason. And importantly, that our own networks and our own solutions have been adequately protected as well. So ID theft protection is something that we're working on, and we're deploying through our network in the Philippines. We shouldn't be too far away before we have something more concrete around a launch, but it is being used elsewhere in the world and in the market. And so we're just bringing this to the Philippines at the moment. So if we can move on to the next slide. So this really is quite a simple process. We go through a registration, and then having registered, we then work with you and the information, and we get you to provide us with some information, and then we do some scanning. So we have a look to see whether you've been compromised in any way, shape or form, if any of your details have been used in any way, anywhere. And we've got a couple of different versions of this particular solution, the light one and a comprehensive one as well. But again, it's designed to be easy to be used. Small business people are notoriously busy. They often don't have time to look at these things. So we want this to be simple. We want this to be easy. And importantly, we want people to actually be able to be aware of the cyber solutions and cyber protection and so forth that's available to them to help them protect themselves, their families and their business from cyber attack. On to the next slide, please. So once again, just summarizing, it is a global solution. So it doesn't matter where your information is found, we will know if it's been used anywhere. And importantly, it reduces your risk of fraud. No protection is going to protect you 100% from fraud. Nobody can guarantee that. But certainly this will help you understand and be aware of the exposure that you have. And it can be as simple as, and we in some of the data that I saw earlier in the slide, for example, 21 people have a website, 51% of people have business emails and so forth, 6% have some form of advanced solutioning. even something that will alert you to things as simple as changing the router default username and password so people can't hack into your system because you haven't changed your Wi-Fi router and the password is still admin and admin or admin and no password. And a quick scan of routers often shows that nobody's changed those passwords and they can get hijacked. Before you know it, you can't even get into your own system. And while you can't get into your own system, somebody else is getting into your system for you. So there's a whole bunch of things that we help in that respect with. On to the final slide. Okay. We have a minute. There's some resources here. Our Philippines office is in Makati. I'm looking forward to going there, hopefully next month for the first time since 2019. Our website is there for business. We have a specific site to help small businesses such as you with digital acceleration. The website is shown there. It's running on the Singapore hub, but it's equally applicable to everybody. And you'll find there's a wealth of resources in there about how to run small businesses, where to look, things to do, some suggestions and so forth. It's well worth spending some time browsing that digital acceleration website and just seeing what's available to you free of charge to help you with your business. And then finally, on the fraud and security piece, out the MasterCard Trust Center. It's a big long URL, unfortunately, but hopefully you can copy and paste it in from the material. If anybody wants it, please do reach out to me, and I'll be happy to send the links directly to you. But again, you'll find that site takes you through a raft of suggestions and help on how you can protect your business from cyber fraud, what you can do to make sure that you don't find yourself in the situation that two big Australian companies are in right now with their cyber attacks. So thank you. I'm finished on the dot. So I thank you for your time, and I'll welcome any questions if there are any.
Hi, good. Thank you, Mr. Ran, for that informative presentation on challenges about payment solutions through MasterCard. Again, for our participants, you may now raise your hand or type in your questions in the chat box. Mr. Peter, I believe they're still processing some of the information you presented, but I do have one prepared here. We got this from one of our participants. What can I do to separate my needs, finances, transactions, etc. as a business owner and as a consumer, especially for a small business owner like me?
That's a great question. We talk about this in terms of personas. I have a persona as a consumer. A while back, before I worked for ANZ Bank, I was also a small business person as well. I made this mistake myself, so I can speak from personal experience. What I didn't do was I didn't open a separate business banking arrangement, either with my current bank or with a different bank. What I strongly recommend, what MasterCard recommends, is that you recognize at the start of your journey as a business person that there's you as a consumer and there's you as a business person, and to try and manage the businesses separately. And that means that you allocate your own salary, you make sure that that part of your business is done on your business side, that your income and your outgoings are documented. That will be of extraordinary benefit when you're talking to lenders or talking to anybody about financial services provisions to yourself as a business owner. If you can show this is your profit and loss statement. We have some tools. There's lots and lots of tools available. We partner with an organization called Zoho to make those tools available, and we're in the throes of doing that for the Philippines. To make those tools available, but Zoho is already available anyway, and that's just one set of tools that can help you run your business and keep them separately. So strongly recommend. It costs me an awful lot of money to pay my accountant to split my personal from my business expenses for the 12 months.
Yes, thank you for that explanation, Mr. Peter. We have one raising her hand, our division chief, Ms. Cynthia de la Cruz. Good afternoon po, Ms. Cynthia.
Good afternoon, lovely. Good afternoon, Mr. Peter Rand. Yes, thank you for the very enlightening presentation and for the wealth of information provided by MasterCard to our SMEs. We'd like to find out, because the cybersecurity is a major concern of MSMEs and of course the trust issues. Would you have some basic tips to our SMEs to ensure that they are not threatened by these cyber security issues? Maybe 1 to 5 points on this matter. Thank you.
Okay, let's keep just to a few that can be done fairly quickly. Please use complex passwords and change passwords frequently. That's 2, all right? And thirdly, don't use, and this is extraordinarily difficult these days, because you need a password for just about everything, but for mission critical services such as your banking, do not use the same password as you use for other services. So for example, if your Facebook password is questions 1, 2, 3, and that's the same password that you use for WhatsApp, and that's the same password you use for Viber, unless you're using Facebook as a trading platform and you're selling on Facebook, then there's probably not a huge amount of inconvenience if you do get hacked. But if you're using Facebook for business and you've got a business site on Facebook and somebody else takes it over, all of a sudden you lose your customers. So please do use complex passwords. Keep passwords for business critical applications unique and different from anything else that you've got, and change them on a regular basis. All right, that's the first 3 points around passwords. The next one I've already mentioned, and that's around data security, and that's access to your laptop or your Wi-Fi. And just about everybody these days has Wi-Fi in some way, shape, or form. If you're using Wi-Fi, please make sure you change the admin password and admin user ID on your Wi-Fi, and do not use an admin login to access your Wi-Fi on your personal devices, right? Because if anybody is hacking into your personal device, then they've also got access to your Wi-Fi, because you're logged in as an administrator and you can get in and do whatever you like. So please do think about the passwords on your router in the office that you're using, or at home if you're sharing the home router as well. And then thirdly, once again around Wi-Fi and security, is be very, very wary of doing anything that's sensitive financially on shared networks. So these are the networks you find in shopping malls and in various and sundry establishments, even hotels, unless you have a VPN. If you've got a VPN, then there's a degree of safety that's brought from having a VPN, and these days they're quite cheap to obtain. But I have seen demonstrations of just how easy it is to spoof a Wi-Fi site on just an ordinary old router that you've got, that you can pick up down at Globe for, probably 1,500 pesos or less. You can then make it look like it's a hotel Wi-Fi and sit there, or a snack bar Wi-Fi, and sit there and capture everybody's login credentials when they connect up to it. And then I've seen them demonstrate just what can be done when you've got that. So please think very, very carefully if you're using a public Wi-Fi for something of a sensitive financial nature, and ideally come in through a VPN. So thank you for those. They were great questions. Thank you.
Yes, thank you so much, Mr. Peter
Thanks,
Rand, for
Cynthia.
those
Thank you. Thanks, Ms. Cynthia.
insights. Yes, thank you. And tips to our SMEs. Remember those, to our tech team, remember those tips from Mr. Peter Rand. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Ching. Mr. Peter, we have one last question.
Thanks, everyone. Yes, of course.
If it's okay. From Mr. Sad Reyes, this is something very specific. When will you have a PIN entry confirmation on MasterCard purchases over, say, $100?
Okay, that's a great question. I'm a firm believer in PIN to to support authentication over signatures, because signatures just don't get checked. These days, looking at Australia specifically, there's a whole bunch of different algorithms that support PIN. Most people these days just want to use a tap and go, so they tap their card and walk off, and that's fine. But you can build logic into the chip that's on the card. You can build logic into the chip so that you can force a PIN in certain circumstances, or if, let's say, the merchant category code is something that you're a bit worried about. Tobacco store is a good one, for example, because fraud often happens. People buy cigarettes and alcohol with stolen cards. So you might want to have authentication, and that's when you can push for a PIN. And our PIN at POS that sits on those mobile phones, in fact, supports that on a mobile phone. When is it happening in the Philippines? That's much more a local regulatory discussion between sort of the networks, and that's obviously not just MasterCard, but there's also our competitors as well in this space, along with the regulator, along with the banks. I couldn't say. If there's any clarity, I'll pass that on to the producers, and it can be shared with the broader audience. But I'll have to take that one on notice, I'm afraid. I'm a strong supporter of it, but it does have some technical requirements at the point of sale, which need to be maintained as well.
Thank you, Mr. Rand. I hope,
Thanks, lovely.
Mr. Reyes, we were able to answer your concern. I believe this is a wrap up for Mr. Peter. For any questions, we will definitely reach out to him if you have further questions from our participants. So again, good afternoon, and thank you to you, Mr. Peter Rand. Now, we would like to thank our speakers for today for sharing their valuable insights to us. Thank you for helping us become more aware of the various solutions that your company offers in terms of digitalization. We greatly appreciate the time you spent with us this afternoon. And we also thank our MSMEs for joining us today, and we hope you have learned and be able to check out the platforms that has been presented. We hope that you would take advantage of these learning sessions provided by our department and would help your businesses grow and overcome challenges. Of course, we also like to thank our DTI regional focal persons for the commitment to assist our MSMEs and working with us together in support to adopt digitalization. We appreciate your time and effort and hard work. And you can join us again for another session of DigiTalks next Thursday on November 3 for the third episode about lending apps and tools for businesses. But before we leave, kindly accomplish the Customer Satisfaction Form, or CSF via the link in the chat box. We will issue certificates to those who have attended at least 4 topics in any sessions and have completed filling out our CSF. So again, thank you everyone, and see you po again next week sa ating MSME DigiTalks.